Hey, RetconRaider here, and welcome back to the Alpha for Warhammer 40k Rogue Trader. As today, we tie up a few last loose ends out here in the ruins, and then head back to the estate to confront Governor Vistenza, who it turns out is the real mastermind behind everything going wrong on Janus. More or less. I'll also note that none of the rebels really have anything to say to us. So we'll just chat them up real quick and then canvass the area, and that's pretty much it. I await the fulfillment of the vow, Monkey. If the governor gets it, then I could go home. Surprisingly terse for an Owlcat game.
Follow my lead.
The mystical gate to the webway. As far as you know, the only method of entering the mysterious dimension created by long-forgotten races of old. I do question whether it's a good idea to have an active webway gate on our planet, but I guess it's a bit late to worry about that now. And an Orthlak Mark IV, which I believe is an upgraded auto pistol. Yeah, pretty similar to our Orthlak revolver. Just lower penetration, higher rate of fire, slightly higher range. And given that we have the revolver so we can actually do damage to higher armor enemies, not much reason for us to swap them out. Sadly, the lack of extra cargo is the price of our diplomacy. But fair enough. It is just the Alpha, not really worried too much about long-term planning. Let's head back. See what kind of welcome party Vistenza set up for us. Huh? Jungle's no longer available. Hopefully we didn't miss anything. Your lordship. Lord Captain? Oh, Quint is gone. Attilius Quint, the local functionary. Let's, check on the tech priest. No, he's gone too. Interesting. So I guess we are well and truly past the clue-gathering phase. All that remains now is to confront Vistenza. Let me just make sure none of these random doors have opened.
Victory awaits.
Nope. Okay, here we go. I require an audience with the governor. My associates will accompany me. Greetings, your lordship. How may I be of assistance? Vistenza, I've heard some rather disturbing rumors about changes taking place amongst Janus's population. I don't deny it. Some of our experiments exact a higher toll on the population than others. You see, recently one of the noble families of Janus has taken on the difficult task of enhancing the attributes of our workers. So far, it has involved introducing experimental supplements to their food and mental conditioning in monitored settlements. Sometimes procedures are disrupted and part of the population suffers from side effects. The specialists of the Gravas family would be a better place to inform you on this topic. But, alas, they are currently engaged in the field. How very convenient for you. I found the rebel nest, Vistenza. Have you really, your lordship? And what have you learned?
Everything, Vistenza. I know everything. And now you have one chance to beg for my mercy.
Your lordship, but I have no idea what you're talking about. You have woven your web of deceit in vain. You can no longer hide behind the veil of ignorance. Rogue Trader has seen the evidence of your deeds, heard the cries of the tormented Lelathan, walked amidst the decay that you brought to the maiden world. Enough of your lies, chaos wretch! Juliet! Vistenza exclaims breathlessly. How dare you, you filthy vermin! I will have you flayed for that outburst! Your lordship, what is going on?
It's over, Vistenza. There's no point in keeping up this pretense. We know that you are a slave to the ruinous powers.
Vistenza clenches her teeth so hard you hear a crack. I, daughter of House Viat, governor of Janus and citizen of the Imperium, serve no one other than the Emperor in the Von Valancius dynasty. And what you are accusing me of, it is merely a tool at my disposal. A tool that I have the power and courage to use. Do you think ordinary methods would have been enough to tame this demented planet? No! My family struggled for decades to subdue Janus once and for all. And it was all in vain. But loyal servants of those families who have resided on Janus for centuries helped me to unlock a new source of power. Ancient knowledge secretly passed down from generation to generation, accessible to a select few, and which grants power over nature itself. How could I reject it? How could I undo all the work of my predecessors, who were entrusted with Janus, who faithfully served the Von Valancius dynasty, and who, with a madman's obsessiveness, hewed this rock into a stunning diamond? 2 days spent among the initiated was enough for me to start hearing the voices of angels in my ears. Angels who gifted me the keys to conquering this world. Well, gosh, it all sounds super sane when you put it that way. My mistake. And before you offend my ears with more accusations or moral admonitions, remember who has dutifully served your dynasty all these years. Remember who has devoted her life to turning Janus into the primary source of wealth in your trade empire. Remember to whom your predecessor entrusted one of her most valuable worlds, without fear of treachery or conspiracy. Without me, without my service, my sacrifice, Janus would be nothing. Pascal's Vox emits a pensive hiss.
Behold, proof of why knowledge must remain in the hands of the worthy. Many laypeople are capable of possessing it, but a wise mind that is not bound by oaths of obedience to the Omnissiah is vulnerable to corruption and free thinking. Even more vulnerable than the mind of an ignorant commoner.
Tell me, did Theodora know about the methods you employ? Did she know? She owned this planet for many decades. She probably did pick up on the local gentry's quirks. But did she ask me outright, as you are doing now? No. Your predecessor was much more interested in supplies and tithes, which I provided without fail. Yeah, that's not what we heard from Attilius. And yet I have received neither supplies nor tithes. Instead, I see my planet on the brink of destruction. Vistenza's eyes narrow. Forgive me for what I am about to say, your lordship, but you're lying. I am not blind. I can see how Janus is changing, how it is becoming tamer, more submissive to the will of humanity. Really? You need to get out more, Vistenza. Juliet's predecessor. Did you know another Xenos came to you before she did? Your retinue hid his coming from you, so they could capture and sacrifice him. Where did you hear that? Yes, it's true that from time to time I put on executions for a small circle of friends. Wait. I recall my confidant seeking permission to use the salon for some gathering or other. I thought she meant ideological discussions, not sacrifices. Do you hear yourself?
When was the last time you actually left this estate, Vistenza? Take one look at the jungles of Janus, and you'll see that whatever you may have thought you were doing for the good of the planet, you are actually destroying it.
Jungles? The effects of the changes have gone that far? But by my assessment, the biomes should have been preserved intact for future arable land. Two and 3 chance, okay. And we'll avoid this option. I get the impression she's not going to buy into Xeno superstition.
How much more proof do you need, Vistenza? That's enough. Renounce that vile sorcery while there is still hope.
Boo. That is enough, your lordship. I simply don't know what to make of your slavish adherence to this absurd notion. Really now, let us forget all this and return to discussing more serious matters.
Then you leave me no choice. In the name of the Emperor, I, rogue traitor of the von Valancius dynasty, sentence you, Vistenza Janus Viat Ab Aram of Coronis, to death.
You made a mistake in thinking that anyone would come to your aid on my world. Servants, to me! And here we go. Now begins the killing. Oh, well, I wasn't expecting that. Bye, I guess. I'm glad we just watched that happen. So what do we do now? Do we find another way around, or... Ah, I see.
I sense something nearby.
Oh, our first bolt pistol. Man, I kind of wish I'd spec'd for bolt guns. But, you know, maybe for the full launch. You know, half the reason I do these early access videos is to wrap my head around potential builds and loadouts.
I rise to the occasion.
Is that the, God Emperor?
It's about time.
Kind of a nice touch that she'd stash it back here in her hidden storage area. Yeah, this does seem like the kind of decor you'd expect from someone who's just here to help. Clearly, I completely misjudged Vistenza. Let's go clear things up. There she is, tucked all the way in back, of course. And notice how almost everyone here is suddenly tucked behind cover, except for the newly summoned Daemonette.
I am not your Xenos pet, monkey.
Submit, and you'll die quickly. For the Emperor!
Pretty sure that's my line, but, Also, Juliet, did you just not feel like shooting, or... Okay, I guess that's fine. Let's get in there. We'll tuck ourselves here. Take out these two guys behind the statues. Oh, just out of range. Right, because I was still on the revolver.
Already done.
Nice, nice. Baby. Too cold. Too cold.
I move swiftly to strike. I understand your intent.
This actually feels a little too easy.
I hear you moving. No more.
That's one.
If I must.
Scorn the pain.
Right, we have those two guys too. Oh, crap. Okay, stop, please. Whoa, whoa. Alright, geez, I take back what I said about this being too easy. Please, stop. You know, intentional or not, the most dangerous part of combat in this game does tend to be the first round, before you get the chance to get everyone under cover. In retrospect, I should have actually kept Rhett in base-to-base with that guy. Then he wouldn't have been able to use his long arm unless he broke from combat, which would have invited a free attack. But, you know, again, that's part of why I play these early access episodes, again, to wrap my head around an unfamiliar system.
Focus.
These are all lessons I'll take with me when we go into the full launch. Oh, I didn't realize you would just keep summoning more. Okay, new priority target. Thankfully, Vistenza seems pretty tame.
I can see bright colors again.
Needle pistol, interesting. And Rhett, I really just need you to not die. So let's see what we can do about that. Not great. Fall back.
Oh, too easy.
Run and gun. And thin him out. Oh, so close. Ow. Juliet, stay on the summoner. Yes. No, but still better than nothing. Oh, well, thank you. Well, not for that part, but still.
Nothing stands against me.
Something has torn the veil.
I think if I were to use Heinrichs in the full game, I'd go Assassin with him. There's a lot of melee-centric Assassin abilities I feel like he'd really be able to leverage.
I am a navigator, not a servitor. If I may.
Just trying to parse out my points here.
Another clean strike.
Fantastic. And momentum. Everyone's gonna die. That's 2.
Nothing of value has been lost.
And 3. And 4.
Suits my purposes.
And 5.
Nowhere to hide.
And 6. My goodness, Ret, please. Leave some for the rest of the party. I guess he really took that whole corrupting his planet thing personally. And we're done. Juliet lowers her weapon, but her shoulders remain tense and her eyes are fixed on Vistenza Viat's body, as if expecting the dead cultist to rise from the dead. She finally catches her breath, shaking her hair out of her face in a fluid motion, and looks at you. You have done your duty, Elentech. From now on, the Lelathan has hope for the future. A future without Silent Thresh and her followers. This world has yet to be cleansed, but there is a time for everything. Now is the time to thank you. Juliet bows her head slightly. I doubt Xenos are capable of eliminating heresy on the planet, rogue trader. But in a situation with limited resources, Throne preserve me if I ever repeat this sentiment, but the Aldari's assistance is the best we can hope for in the short term, barring a radical solution to the problem. Wow, we actually got Heinrich's seal of approval. That is unexpected. Continuing the trend of him really being more flexible than you'd expect him to be. Let's hope this is the end of the cults on Janus. You are hoping in vain. The seeds these spawn leave behind may sprout in 100 years, in other people and other deeds. I pray that I am wrong. She turns her gaze on you. What about you, Elentech? Will you return to the skies, to the blackness amidst the stars? To seek a way through the gloom and tread the paths of more and more new worlds? Will we ever meet again? Well, you already agreed to accompany me, so I imagine we will meet each other quite frequently. But I hear a yearning in your words. Would you once again like to agree to join me in my travels? I could certainly use a good markswoman. Juliet straightens up to her full height. Go with you. She purses her lips, considering something. Perhaps Perhaps that way I could search for traces of my brethren, who survived the destruction of our world. Or even find out the cause of their deaths. Yeah, tracking down your kin. And also there will be somebody on the ship who scares the crap out of everyone even more than I do. Not sure that's possible, Adira, but sure.
Xenos in the retinue of a rogue trader is an acceptable precedent, although highly undesirable and fraught with danger.
And again, seal of approval. Wow. If you truly cared for the Elentech, you wouldn't be following him. You would have thrown yourself into the abyss long ago. You are a canker, and the jaws of Silent-Thresh yawn wide within you. Don't talk to me about dangers, you, a Monkey who has no notion of what he is playing with. Ooh, goodness. I guess that seal of approval does not go both ways. Well, Elentech, since your will supersedes human laws on Xenos, and I will face no reprisals while I am by your side, I accept your offer. Super fantastic, extra good. Welcome aboard again, Yurliet. Let us celebrate this union by collecting incredibly dangerous chaos artifacts. Yeah, that does seem like the kind of decor you'd put up when you're trying to convince yourself you're working for the greater good.
The greater good.
Anatomy Tome. +2 damage versus humans. And +5 on Medicae. Not bad. And surprisingly non-heretical. There's our needle pistol. Actually, not all that great now that I'm looking at it. I assume there's some sort of special effect on those toxic needles, but nothing's listed here. There's got to be something sinister around here somewhere. Trap. Okay, that's promising. Oh, that's a container. Thought that was the disarm panel. Tome bound in human leather. That's a bit more like what I was expecting. Though listed as cargo, so not nearly as exciting as I was hoping. I mean, I'm not going full cultist or anything, but I do like collecting the occasional chaos curio. Nobleborn Mantle. +15 to Fellowship when there are no enemies within 4 cells. Okay, well that's fantastic for Cass, as long as we can keep her distant from the enemies. That would boost a lot of her leadership powers. And then Power Grip's just a flat +10 to Strength. That's about as straightforward as it gets. Which would be nice, but we just put the recoil gloves on Rhett. And he definitely gets a lot more use out of his guns than he does out of his chainsword. And then Heinrichs has those gloves that boost weapon skill, which I feel is a bigger priority for him. Extra damage is nice, but it doesn't mean much if you can't land a hit. Yeah, and then I just don't think Pascal uses melee attacks enough to really justify swapping out the tech boost. Still, got one decent upgrade out of this. Looking good, Cass. And then the anatomy tome. I would like to slot that on Pascal, but... Oh, right. We were going to switch Xenosaur off to someone else. Juliet. But we need her to gain another skill boost or two. Until then, she can't really compete.
I'll lay claim to the stars.
Ooh, Bolter. Again, kinda wish I'd set us up to use those, but... Autogun's worked out so far. Okay, no fear or reason whatsoever, for they permit those linked to the great enemy in their midst. That is true. Half our party is made up of psychers. Tome of Excess. Someone insane described in the tome the 66 laws of the warp and rituals to make contact with entities beyond. +10 to warp lore, but makes the wielder significantly more vulnerable to negative effects of warp entities. You know what? We'll just have Adira hold on to that for us. What's the worst that could happen? $66 in warp lore. Seems fitting. Now see, that's the kind of fun stuff I like to find. Anything else? Would you look at that? A Xeno siding with Imperium Doctrine. I've heard it all now. Okay, all set. Let's head outside, see what's waiting for us. Hey, Quint, I was wondering where you got off to. The secretary is shaking in terror, looking around at the devastation. Your lordship, what happened? Where's Lady Viat? The secretary stares at Juliet in horror. His face twists, but he cannot seem to get out a single word. Exsellsior Viat has been executed as a traitor to the Imperium. Her accomplices must be found and put to death immediately. Oh no, heresy! Heresy on Janus! The secretary makes a protective gesture over himself. May the God Emperor watch over us. Whatever the governor did, I had no knowledge of it. We will root out those who colluded with her right away. The secretary begins to speak, but thinks better of it, instead choosing to step aside and bow his head as you pass. Smart man. And look at that. Here I was thinking we'd have to fight our way all the way back to the ship. Or would at least get ambushed or something by one of the other families on the way out. Wait, oh, did the tech priest come back?
I won't tolerate weakness.
He did not. Okay, back to the ship. Let me just make sure we're not missing anything else here. Yeah, I think we're good.
We now have control over the granaries of Janus. The promise of help given to Governor Vladain Tokara of Footfall can now be fulfilled, should the rogue trader so desire. Make it so. My influence shall grow, one trade deal at a time. The inhabitants of the Footfall Station will praise the rogue trader who spared them the painful choice between starvation and succumbing to the reign of Incendia Corda. Thank you, Factotum. Let's check our colony projects. And look at that, we can indeed start our first project. Chem Princes. Many planetary aristocrats have stained themselves with incompetence and lost their titles. A new nobility of Chem Princes will be created out of subjects who prove capable in sciences and governance. Those who succeed in wisely managing their agri-complex fiefs, strictly maintaining obedience among the commoners, and increasing the output of rare organic chemicals, will keep their positions. Which would net us +5 profit factor, +5 contentment, 20 stimulants, which is a basic consumable item in combat. Also 3 chemicals and 3 promethium. That's not bad. Or we could go with Ultraquisitors. In the days of the mutiny, many among Janus's pampered nobility fled the planet. They are to be replaced with more enterprising servants. A small but ambitious Ultraquisitor syndicate belonging to the Kaspalika mission has contacted the rogue trader with a lowly request to entrust the governance of Janus to them. With Vladain Tokara pushing all of his competitors out of the cold trade, the Ultraquisitors are hoping to change their line of business and become dignified aristocrats serving House von Valancius. Which would be pretty fitting for a rogue trader with criminal background. That nets us 3 Xenotech, plus 5,000 rep with Kaspalika, and Starblight. Which looks to be a pretty solid long-range laser weapon. Oh wait, that's a Drukhari weapon. That heavily implies that there's a Drukhari companion, which I guess does make sense. I've seen some pictures floating around. A cursed Drukhari weapon. Rather than energy beams or bolt charges, it strikes at foes with crystal cylinders, in which is sealed a deadly virus. The creator of this item was clearly after more than the mere death of their enemies. It had to be as cruel a death as possible. The toxin from this rifle makes the target fatigued and slowed. Well, that is incredible. And final option is Sophocracy? Janus is ailing, and who better to cure it than the sage genitors of the Magos biologists? Management of the agri-complexes will be taken away from the aristocrats and handed over to the servants of the Omnissiah, who will synchronize their operations for the benefit of the planet. That nets us 12 provisions, plus 5 profit factor, plus 5,000 rep with the Explorators, and plus 3 efficiency. Certainly not the most exciting of our options, but pretty solid. Though, right, we kind of skimmed over the profit factor from the Ultraquisitors. That's actually slightly higher, though we lose out on any colony stat bonuses. But we would gain that awesome rifle we may or may not ever be able to use. I am leaning towards taking one of the ones with a rep bonus. You know what? What the heck? Let's go for Ultraquisitors.
I have no idea if we'll ever actually get to use that rifle, but the rest of the bonuses are pretty solid. And then, of course, we now have access to a whole boatload of other higher tier projects. None of which we can actually do right now, since we've currently got Ultraquisitors in progress. Though honestly, it looks like we don't have the prereqs for any of these anyway. Oh, and we should check our journal. See if we have any new orders we can fill. Nothing new, but we can actually do a few of these now. Feast for the Soul. An army of Drusian pilgrims is planning to travel to an unexplored sector and set up a colony in the name of the Emperor. To ensure that these fervent believers don't die on their journey, the cult of St. Drusus requires a huge amount of food. Which requires 9 provisions, nets us 5 profit factor, and 3... Oh wow, 3 contentment, okay. That would leave us with 6 provisions. Let's check our other options. A secret from the godless stars. A ship has returned from an expedition to the godless stars with no Xenos treasure, no coordinates of promising worlds, nor anything else of great value. All they have brought back is a mysterious protein-based slime that is edible and replicates itself at a phenomenal rate. Whoever purchases this amazing substance will be able to grow it in cultivation vats to feed entire hives. 10 profit factor for 24 provisions. Which would mean we'd be taking a net loss to profit factor, but we would get a net gain on provisions. Plus contentment. Bones gnawed clean. A band of bold treasure hunters has raided a legendary ship cemetery, the Procession of the Damned. They were able to snatch the ruins of an ancient cruiser from the convoy of shipwrecks, and now the remains of the glorious ship have been put up for auction. Beyond repair though it may be, it is still a giant mountain of plasteel and adamantium. Oof, that is pricey. 12 profit factor. For 3 adamantium and 18 plasteel. Right, we looked at this one before. That's the one that would leave us just short of getting enough plasteel to actually fulfill one of the other orders. Right, we needed 30, but that would leave us 1 short. And it would put us nowhere near enough adamantium for this other project either. Yeah, so we'll ignore that one for now, but we will do Feast for the Soul. And A Secret from the Godless Stars. We'll take a 5-point hit to profit factor, but we will gain a boatload of provisions and 3 contentment. And then contentment also, I believe, will kind of feed back into profit factor, so that should help mitigate the hit. So plasteel, we just need 1 more unit of plasteel. And like 6 more adamantium. Alright folks, that brings us to time, so I feel like this is a good place to call it. We more or less finished our business on Janus, we cleared out the corruption, but mollycoddled with Xenos. And we are 1/3 of the way towards restoring our glorious trade empire. we'll hit the pause button for now. I'll do the usual between-episode bookkeeping, get our inventory cleaned up a bit. And we will pick up here next time, as we head back to Footfall, finish our business with Tokara, and then set our sights on new horizons. Who knows what other sinister secrets the Coronis has in store. See you then. Oh, and special thanks to the Raiders, the fine folks who help make these videos possible, including but not limited to Dragon Matrix 7, Mathew Smith, Revenant, Alois, Drakiith, Theory V23, EgonAlter, Emile, Exsellsior, Gottlieb, James Trimmier, Kazorm, Mark Giemza, Nathan Welch Jr., OverlordPherom, RandomPassrby, RobbyB, Tomasz Piątkowski, Triphoppenskip, and Valinrook. Thanks for your support, guys. That said, if you'd also like to help support the channel, then feel free to push the buttons that do the things. Trust me, it does make a difference. Or you could even check out the PayPal, the Patreon, the Nexus GG page, or the YouTube memberships. Links are in the description.